So welcome our panel. And if Karen, if you'd like to give us a couple, 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm going to keep you right on time, okay? If you'll give us a couple of minutes and just talk to us a little bit about you and your work and what you're really trying to see here in New Mexico.
Will do, Toby. Thank you so much for the lovely introductions, and to my other panelists, and to the faces that I see on this screen, many of whom I know, and thank you for your time today. It's just an honor to be here with everyone. So I only have 2 or 3 minutes, so I'm going to jump right into a few things that I think might be helpful framing pieces. You heard that our group, Prepare to Teach, which is an initiative out of Bank Street. We're not part of the graduate school or the School for Children. Bank Street has always had a separate group that looks to extend great work at Bank Street out to the country. So for example, we were big in Head Start being passed. We were big in, some of you may remember Bank Street Writer, which was the first word processing program for kids, because our kids had word processing programs before many others did. So Bank Street's always sort of done this work to help the field change towards things that we know are really good. And one of those things that's really good is funded preparation, where you are working alongside a quality teacher while you're getting your certification before you're a teacher of record. That's what we exist to support the movement for. And we've been doing this work for about 6 years. We have worked in about 20 states with about 40 partnerships. And we always work in partnership between a P12 district or charter school and the institutions that do preparation. So it's always in partnership. Our goal is to ensure that candidates can afford to really concentrate on their learning during your great programs, because it's really hard to concentrate on your learning when you're working 2 jobs in addition to taking your coursework, in addition to doing your clinical practice. So how can we ensure that they've got an affordable program and the stipend to be able to afford their living expenses? That's what we're focused on. We have worked over the course of the last 6 years to shift the narrative around teacher preparation and funding of candidates, in particular around this idea that when we started 6 years ago, I used to get laughed at because we don't pay student teachers. What do you mean? So changing that idea that actually these are people who are working inside schools. They are our future professionals. They deserve to be supported just like doctors deserve to be supported. So we have worked with that idea of shifting that narrative. And the way we have done that is by putting the focus on the funding and candidates not being able to afford to work for free, talking about how we sometimes assume that the problem in change is what the Heath and Heath book, Switch, How to Change Things When Change is Hard. Toby, I see your fingers. So like, can I have one? Okay. How to change things when change is hard. They have a metaphor of, if you want to change something difficult, it's like turning an elephant around. The elephant, the big systems, has to want to change. The writer, those are the people like you and me doing the work, have to know what they're doing. Our experience is that the elephants want to change, the systems want to change, and the writers know what they're doing for the most part. But the third thing that has to happen is there can't be something blocking the path. And the something blocking the path is being able to afford to do clinical practice. So that's what we exist for. You have, I believe you're going to be getting a chat. I think Brianna is going to be able to chat you a bunch of our resources, my contact information, links. So that'll be in the chat at some point today. I'm done.
All right. Cassandra, give us a couple of minutes of what you think we should know about you and your work at Branch Ed.
Well, thank you so much. I want to echo Karen's sentiments. Excited to be a part of the panel today, and certainly looking forward to the conversation. The Branch Alliance for Educator Diversity is a national nonprofit organization that is uniquely positioned to support educator preparation at minority-serving institutions, of which there are about 300 nationwide MSIs that prepare teachers. At Branch Ed, we have a national network of such programs. We work across 36 states, DC, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. We have about 182 colleges and universities at MSIs that prepare teachers within our network. We fundamentally believe that quality educator preparation must be explicit around issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we unapologetically say that quality equals diversity. Unfortunately, in our national dialogue, when we start talking about quality preparation or quality in education, that conversation is held up separately from issues of diversity. And in fact, the national narrative would have you believe that those are two opposing goals. If you want higher quality, you've got to sacrifice diversity. If you want to increase diversity, you've got to sacrifice quality. Well, we at Branch Ed believe that that is completely wrongheaded. We ought to be shooting for a goal to have both a high quality, diverse educator workforce, starting with teachers, but certainly extending into issues and positions of leadership across the country. So at Branch Ed, we work alongside colleges of education to really reimagine and rethink how they're going about preparing their teachers and really leveraging those opportunities to engage with issues of diversity and equity as an accelerator to learning in the classroom. We do that through technical assistance directly to institutions, to opportunities that bring faculty and practitioners together in joint action groups to re-envision what the future can be, as well as disseminating research and other tools and resources that educators can use in their classrooms tomorrow. So I'll stop there. That's kind of a high-level overview, and I look forward to, again, talking more about New Mexico as a context.
All right, Cassandra, thank you. And Alan, give us a couple, 2 or 3 minutes about you and your work at Golden Apple.
Thanks, Toby. And I'm on my phone, so if I switch off here and I have Longoria, please send me a chat and don't, because I won't be able to see you. It's so great to be here. Great to see all of you. So thanks so much for the invitation. So Golden Apple has been around for a long time. We were founded in 1986 as a way to honor teachers, and we continue to honor teachers. Teachers receive the Golden Apple Award for Excellence in Teaching every year. And what happened is about 3 years in, the first group of award-winning teachers said, we should be doing more. And so we began a teacher preparation program in 1989. And at that time, there were 15 students in Illinois. Now we're supporting over 800 undergrads as they fulfill a commitment to teach for 5 years in a school of need. And how this works is we recruit high impact young people, first generation college goers, students of color are really our focus. We recruit them from sophomore year or senior year in high school to their sophomore through their sophomore year in college. And then we prepare them like no other. So it's a state by state plan. So the idea is that you recruit students in New Mexico, it'd be a recruit from New Mexico to go to New Mexico colleges and universities to commit to teaching in New Mexico schools of need for 5 years. But while they're undergrads, they receive academic and social and emotional supports. They have paid professional development in the summer where they have hundreds of additional hours of in-classroom experience and learn from those master educators, those people we have awarded before. So it is supplemental to what happens in their colleges of ed. We work and find that best fit placement. And then they go into teaching and they commit to teaching for 5 years in the school of need. And for those first 2 years of teaching, they receive in-person mentoring from prepared mentors who really support them in those early years of teaching. I tell everybody that, I hitchhiked up to Chicago in 1986 to start teaching. And I think I cried every day for a month because I had no idea what I was doing. And to have a network of people, whether they're mentors or other people my age who I could have turned to, would have made all the difference in the world. So 82% of our scholars graduate within 6 years with a teaching license. 82% of those, apparently our favorite number, fulfill their commitment to teach for 5 years in a school of need. And if you know the retention statistics, you know that those are high percentages. And then recently we started the Golden Apple Accelerators, which is a 15-month residency and concurrent licensure program. We primarily focus on rural communities for this, really keeping people in their communities to teach. They receive a $25,000 stipend and take courses remotely from brick and mortar higher ed institutions within the state and come out with that post-bac or master's degree, depending on the institution. So that's the quick and dirty of Golden Apple.
All right, thank you, Alan. And Alan, I'm right with you. I remember I graduated from UNM with my BS and I went right into my 5th year master's, and my mentor was Marcy Johnson here in Albuquerque Public Schools. And if it hadn't have been for Marcy, I would have never survived. And so I'm right there with you. Those mentors are just critical. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to kind of transition into our first topic. And our first topic is going to be educator recruitment. And so I'd like to kind of pose this first question to the three of you. And kind of what I'd like to do is just follow the same sequence, Karen, Cassandra, and Alan. I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm going to be a little stickler, right? Because we're already 15 minutes into our 40 hour. So I'm going to be real stickler on you about 2 to 3 minutes a question. I'm going to cut you off if you go past that. So educator recruitment is a hot topic across the country as well as in New Mexico. If you can make a suggestion or recommendation to the powers that be in the state that would supercharge education recruitment across the state, what would it be and why? So Karen, I'll start with you. And I want you to supercharge it.
I'm going to supercharge it, and you have permission to say, you're done, Karen. So
Yeah,
cut
I'm
me
going
off.
to tell you that, Karen.
So here is my suggestion. Pass HB 13. It might need some more conversation and work, but there is a currently dropped bill that will provide $20 million for residencies. And why will this supercharge recruitment? Because we're saying that people don't want to go into teaching and as a country, and I'm saying as a program, that's not true. Because over the same period of time that enrollment has dropped in our teacher preparation programs in our universities, enrollment has ballooned in online, fast track, cheap teacher of record models where somebody can go in and get a salary and benefits. The issue is the economics. The path is that people can't afford to do teacher preparation. Literally 2 years ago, the largest program in the state had 32,000 people in it. Now it has 55,000 people in it. It is an economic issue. What we need to do is support people while they are doing their clinical preparation so they can concentrate and learn how to be the great teachers they want to be and serve the kids in the state like we want them to be able to do.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Karen. Cassandra, your supercharged idea.
So I think, Karen, you're right on. Economics matters. I think the image of the teaching profession as a viable, worthwhile profession is also really, really important. And I think, unfortunately, when we start thinking about recruiting young people into teaching, we're thinking about college sophomores and juniors, and it's way too late. That students are building impressions about the teaching profession. They are interacting with their teachers in schools. So I think we have to think differently about how are students learning about educational professions, and how are we early and more often giving them opportunities to try on teaching as a profession so that they are building the will. And then Karen's solution about helping with the economic side, I think together those are really strong paths forward.
All right, Cassandra. And so you're really talking about maybe getting kids while they're in high school.
Absolutely. And I'm also talking about, the partnership between K-12 and higher ed in thinking about that pipeline. We partner to create student teaching opportunities, to place candidates in schools. We ought to be partnering on recruitment. We ought to be thinking about who might be quality teachers as early as middle school, and think about what some of those experiences might be during middle school, high school, again, to build the interest in career opportunities in education. And again, I don't think it's high schools or higher ed that will do it alone. It's got to be a joint force around recruitment.
Excellent. Alan, your supercharged idea. We can't hear you.
I realized I was muted in my head there. Thank you. So first, I want to amplify the HB 13, yes, and what Cassandra said about those partnerships, and Educators Rising is a key way to do that. So those Educators Rising programs that are in high school that receive college credit, that is an absolute great way. But I'm going to take it a little bit different. We need to think about ways to inspire our students to become teachers. Right? We are still battling the remnants of No Child Left Behind, that testing was everything. And it is tough to inspire a student to be a teacher when that experience is, how do you prepare somebody for a standardized test? In the book, Millennial Teachers of Color, one of the things that was highlighted was, you know what? We need to talk about teaching as a social justice issue. we need to ensure that that young people know, or career changers know, the impact they can have on other students' lives through this profession. And unless we start talking about it that way and less about data-driven, you can be mission-driven and data-informed, but unless we change that narrative, we're going to have a tough time getting people into teaching.
Yeah, Alan, I think that's a great point, right? Teachers are leaders in the classroom and they're social justice warriors. And I think that that's a great perspective to think about.